morning everyone. In this video I'm going to demonstrate the use of Mamiya Instax Wide, Analogue.Studio Mamiya Instax Wide cameras, which are basically Fuji Instax Wide cameras modified to use Mamiya Universal Press lenses, all manual lenses with a built-in focusing mechanism. So when you're going to receive the camera, it's going to look kind of like this, and depending on the options you choose, you're going to either have or not have cold shoes already installed on the camera. I usually install one here, one on the side, but these are customizable depending on your wishes. But at the minimum, you're going to have an adapter ring here with a lock screw. This may look different. Sometimes I use plastic screws or plastic tipped screws, but the shaft is still stainless steel. And you may also have this, which is actually a cable release bracket. It's a bracket used to attach a cable release camera. And if you have one, you're probably going to be your camera is probably going to come with a cable release like this, like that. This can attach to the lens. Anyway, so this is a fully manual camera. The eject operation of the camera is fully manual. That means that the way this works is that you're going to open the back after you attach the lens, of course, and put in a film pack and shoot the picture, and then you're gonna have to manually eject the frame. And the eject action is wired to this button, which used to be the trigger button. And you notice how I also added this raised edge around the bottom to protect from accidental ejects, because this happened a lot to me in earlier mods when I put the camera in the bag or just push this by accident. So it works pretty well, and I'm gonna demonstrate the eject action again after I put in the lens, but just to give you an idea what this does. So I'm gonna open the back, push this, and you notice there's an eject arm, and there's also a little hook in here. This actually grabs on a frame from the picture cartridge, from the photo cartridge, and pushes it up to two rollers on the top, and the rollers squish the chemicals, spread it over the picture, and then develop the picture. So that's kind of how it works. So when you're going to receive the camera, the eject arm should be in the down position, and that's the way you want it before you put in a photo pack in there. All right, so let's get ready. Let's attach a lens. So the lens I use with this camera, this is my lens, it doesn't come with the camera. It's a Mamiya Universal Press Mamiya Secor 100mm f3.5 lens, and I recommend either this one or the 90mm f3.5. And the reason for that is that these original cameras, thus the viewfinder, are designed for 90mm lenses. So using this or the 90mm f3.5 Mamiya Universal Press lenses will match the field of view of the viewfinder very well, so you can frame properly. It also that because of a built-in light shield in these cameras right here, using other lenses may result in vignetting around the corner of the edges, and my build uses this light shield, so that's kind of limits the selection of lenses. I may upgrade this, may be able to do this in the future for future releases, that I modify the light shield for other lenses, but for now this works very well. So let's put on the lens. Make sure this is not tight. You can kind of see it doesn't go all the way in. if you screw it all the way in, it's only going to protrude a little bit. Okay. So these lenses have a registration mark on top. See the little red dot? So you want to align the red dot. You align the red dot with the screw. Push the lens down. Should go down. Then rotate it like clockwise till it stops. There's a stop there. They're slightly tense on this. Don't go crazy because it's actually bent the plastic. And this is it. This is just a rotation prevention screw, and you would prevent the camera from rotating and falling out of your. You prevent the lens from rotating and falling out of your camera. So now we're ready to shoot. Say we insert the film pack. And if this was your first picture, no, this would be a new film pack. It would have a plastic dark slide in front of it. This is a half-use pack, so this of course is going to be a ruined frame. So let's pretend that's let's eject the dark slide. So we basically you're going to use this button, and you'll see that it's very easy to know when to stop. Once the frame pops up, you basically stop. That's it. When it pops up, stop. And this is it. This is the dark slide. All right. So now let's take a picture. In order to do that, we have to use a light meter, and some people have attached them to the camera. That's why the call shows. Or use a handheld light meter or a phone app. There's various light meter apps out there. There's one called Luxy, and a bunch of them. Anyway, and it's important to use one as a spot meter. It can dial in. You choose a grade zone in your picture if you want an overall picture, or if you want to dial your exposure a certain type of a certain feature in the photo. You can just spot meter on that exposure. So, yeah, and of course, when you do that, you put the ISO of the film to 800. This is the ISO of all Fuji Instax film, 800 mini, square, or this wide. And you're gonna get a bunch of speed aperture pairs, and you pick one. And this particular lens allows you to set speeds from 1/500. It's a Copal 1 shutter or Copal 0 shutter. It's a Japanese, not Copal, yeah. From 1/500 to B setting. The speed ring is here. And the aperture ring is driven by this, the handle here. And your aperture ring or settings are going to be on the outside, on the top ring. So this is your aperture speed setting. So we're inside, and I don't have a light meter on me. It doesn't really matter, I suppose, for the shot. But based on past experience in here, I have 3.5, which is the maximum aperture for this. This is about 160 a second. Okay, that's very right. So now, because this camera has a cable release shutter, I'm gonna use that. But I'm also gonna show you how to trigger without one. So if your camera doesn't have a cable release shutter or bracket, or you don't want to use it, this is the trigger button right here. And of course it's not working, the shutter is not cocked. So we need to cock the shutter. It's cock in action here. You want to make sure this button is a lock switch. You want to make sure it's pushed down, otherwise you won't be able to either trigger. You won't be able to either cock the shutter or trigger shutter. So you want this to be pushed down, cock the shutter. So this is how it triggered it. Oh, you dial in the, oh, sorry, before you do that. So you set your aperture and your speed, and you dial in your distance. You dial the distance manually here. This lens goes from about 1 meter to infinity. So you measure the distance to your subject, or you approximate it. And I've noticed that I can even, with a little practice, you can really approximate even the shortest distance, which is 1 meter. And the pictures are gonna come up pretty sharp, even of a 3.5, because your depth of field is good enough, even the 3.5, to cover any uncertainty in the focus. For best results though, or if you're doing this using the tripod shoot, I use a tape measure, or some people put laser rangefinders here, again in the cold shoes. It's a personal preference. I've used both, they both work, but right now I shoot with no focusing aid and it's just fine. So at 3.5, say my subject here, which is a wall, by the way, just a wall, it's about, say 1.5 meters away, about between 1.2 to 1.5. These are the markings. So this would be between 4 and 5 feet, closer to 5 feet really. Yes, closer to 1.5. So if I were to not have a cable release, I would just frame and trigger. But because I have a cable release, I'm gonna screw in the cable release in here. Ideally, you do this before you cock the shutter. But so this is the cable release socket. And then choose your best fit here for the finger. The travel is pretty long actually. So do this and press it all the way till you hear. Alright, so that's the relays. My camera also happens to have a slow shutter, so it's gonna actually take a while to do it. Alright, done. So my lens is slow, so after I press the shutter button, it actually takes like a few seconds till it triggers. So you want a lens that doesn't have this problem. I just need to send this for cleaning. I will correct it. So the exposure is done. So what do we do now? We can take another one. We have double exposure, another one, triple, so on and so forth. And then now we wait. It takes about a minute before you start seeing an image on this. And because this pack has seen light without the dark side, this particular picture is gonna show light leaks on the edges. The first one is completely white, this was completely overexposed, but this one should show us something if I got the exposure right. Alright. So I want to do this. So we want to pack this, you want to remove the cable release bracket, pop out the cable release, put on the lens cap. I don't have a real lens cap for this, I 3D printed one. And put it in the bag. Oh, and voila. Picture. It's coming up. So it's not terrible at all. Yeah. Alright, that's about it. Thanks for watching.